Yeah, so before then, I'll just do a quick introduction of you. I mean, the comrades know you, but for the audience, Ayo Ademiluyi is a distinguished public interest lawyer, a revolutionary socialist, and grassroots organizer. And he has represented various communities in Etiosa federal constituency against unlawful demolition and eviction, and has been a part of several other socialist and revolutionary initiatives, including the old Democratic Socialist Movement, the MSA, which is a movement for socialist alternative, and the Socialist Party of Nigeria, which was deregistered by the Supreme Court. And so more recently, Ayo emerged as the Labour Party candidate for Etiosa federal constituency, and he currently coordinates the renewal vanguard in the Labour Party. So that's by way of a brief background. So thank you very much, comrade, for taking time off your busy court schedule and parliamentary campaign to speak with us today.
It's a pleasure.
So to set the context a bit, what is the renewal vanguard within the Labour Party, and what does it hope to accomplish?
Thank you so much. The renewal vanguard in the Labour Party is a nucleus of left-leaning elements who have come to, not only left-leaning elements, working class activists, to socialist activists, and working class people who have come to the conclusion that it is important to engage both the Labour bureaucracy and the Labour Party bureaucracy at this point in time. And there's a little background to that. The Labour Party itself, as we have it today, was formed in year 2002, exactly 20 years ago, as a party for social democracy. After a lot of prayer was mounted on the top echelon of the Labour bureaucracy at that time, led by Adams Shomone. Ultimately, by year 2003, after a titanic legal struggle led by Shika Nefahimi, there was an eventual registration of the party by INEC, and that was renamed Labour Party in 2004, based on the prayer that the name Labour has already hedged its name as a vanguard of working class struggle in Nigeria by virtue of the numerous general strikes called by Adams Shomone. But in 2003 to 2007, the party was just kept as an empty shell by the Labour bureaucrats for a long time. In fact, it was more or less like the retirement even. But in 2007, Adams Shomole proposed to run as president. Of course, a lot of pressure was put on him to run for presidency. Eventually, he dropped that and then went to into an alliance with the AC. That was quite a setback. And then you have the dramatic emergence of people like Mimiku in 2007 too. In 2007, as the candidate of the Labour Party in Ondo State. So it opened another epoch in that party where you have bourgeois elements that are loose out of the mainstream parties, that is the PDP and the APC as we have it now joining the Labour Party. So that was the state of the party when we first joined in year 2009. We were there as an organization as DSM, the old DSM, then in year 2009. Of course, our conviction for going to Labour Party was not because workers were in that party at that time, but we felt that on the basis of the clarity that we have as Marxists, that the working class in a neo-colonial economy like Nigeria is the most organic force in the revolutionary process. We felt on the basis of balance of class struggle forces, eventually the bureaucracy will be forced to move in a layer of workers into the party. Between year 2009 and year 2011, none of that really happened, despite many efforts along that line. Eventually, in 2010, there was a convention of the party in which the nomination fees of that party were escalated to meet up with the to serve as an attraction to many bourgeois elements. So, unlike before, you can just pay 500 naira for nomination forms. Now it's now 50,000, then 100,000, millions of naira. Eventually, in 2011, we wound up our entryism in the Labour Party. Then in 2012, there was a gigantic 2012 general strike and mass protest. Eventually, we felt that the consciousness at that time has necessitated us having a socialist party, having on his banner clearly the new socialism, and that it can even force the labor bureaucrats to do some window dressing with the Labour Party. So between 2012 and 2018, we were in the trenches, both in court, both in the barricades, trying to fight the election of the Socialist Party. Eventually, it registered in 2018. Between 2018, we only lasted a year because eventually INEC bowed to the reactionary philosophy that the abundance of small parties was one affecting the electoral system, especially who are popularly registered. We fought a long battle way up to the Supreme Court, and then the SPN was registered in 2019. But prior to SPN the registration, it was becoming clearer and clearer. Hello, comrades, are we together?
Yes, indeed. Please continue.
It was becoming clearer and clearer, especially after the iconic NSAS mass uprising in year 2020, that the labor bureaucracy now has little time on his hands to prove his role, so to speak. And after 2020, the next barricade will be the question of a political alternative, and at the end of the question of the NSAS in itself, the radicalization of youth, of young workers, and then the radicalization of a whole number of layers of working people, will put enormous pressure, combined with the enormity of the crisis of capitalism in Nigeria, will put enormous pressure on the bureaucracy to even conduct some window dressing with the Labour Party. And that played out exactly in early part of this year, when the two centers were eventually called two separate political conferences. And that they both resolved that by May Day, that's May 1st, 2022, they will have a joint declaration that workers should mobilize into the Labour Party. But never for once did we have an illusion that Labour bureaucracy will mobilize rank and file workers into the Labour Party to allow rank and file workers to even stand as candidates. So we try to put our perspective into test by joining the Labour Party in year 2000 in mid-April 2022. Because at that time,
that's this year, yes, this past couple of months.
Hello, I'm running off. So as at that time, the question of Labour Party was rarely again back on the agenda within the Labour movement, and it was a struggle against the bureaucracy, both in the Labour Party and the Labour movement, who mean to test the question of candidature. Can we stand without not paying the exorbitant nomination fees? Eventually, the families we joined the Labour Party in 2022 as a faction of the MSC, because the MSC now is also undergoing a factional crisis based on this Labour Party debate. Now, as a faction of the MSA, we are in the Labour Party in April, joined April 9, 2022. And less than about 28 days after that, a lot of the Labour bureaucracy has May 1st, 2022. All of them, even liberal bureaucrats like the NCF, National Conservative Front, the what we can call the left bureaucrats too, in the TPAM, they also joined the Labour Party. Because some left elements that masquerade as left figures are really state collaborators, and which we found out during the NSAS uprising. So everybody joined the Labour Party at that time, but of course, out of foresight, we were already in the party. So the struggle on the issue of nomination fees, of course, the party bureaucracy brought out 30 million, 75 million, 3 million for a party like for my own, 3 million. So another struggle began that we won't pay 30 million, 3 million. Eventually, the Labour Party Lagos State are about to do prayer and gave out nomination forms for free for NSAS activists like ourselves. And then, in fact, the form is marked free, not for sale. But that's the party form. Please, so now we are able to achieve that. But the question now is that so why the renewal vanguard? Why after you can't be an individual within the Labour Party? We felt that the Labour Party now is undergoing a mass influx of not only rank and file workers, but also even elements we can call the Obi-ists, the Peter Obi supporters. Because Peter Obi, the phenomenon around Peter Obi itself, I think we'll discuss that later.
Yes, we will.
Need to engage as the left wing Labour Party. And we felt that, okay, the best thing is to come up with a nucleus platform that can continue to engage the party bureaucracy in the final analysis. So that's the basis upon which we founded the Renewal Vanguard. To continue to agitate for democratization of the party. For instance, there's a court order that the party should organize an all-inclusive convention. Those are issues we will still open up in the convo. Let me rest my case now. So,
excellent. Thank you. That background is actually very useful, and it was one of our questions. So I'm glad you've already gone some way in addressing it. But you know, in the introduction, I was mentioning that, as you told me, you are actually running for House of Representatives seat under the Labour Party in Atiosa constituency. So can you tell us just a little bit about your campaign and what you hope to accomplish, and just how is the campaign going?
Thank you so much. You will recollect that we played a leading role in the SARS uprising. And then eventually, after the massacre, we also represented the SARS protesters. We took a year-long litigation before the SARS tribunal at Lekki. And we felt that we must give this struggle a political conclusion. The constituency where the massacre happened was the Atiosa federal constituency. And it's a constituency where a lot of massacres have also happened. Massacres of informal working people, a lot of massacres, more than 30 massacres. In fact, when I mentioned that, people say, where did that happen? There is the Idasho massacre. There are a lot of massacres, the Elegushi massacre. There's a community right there behind the Elegushi, right? The Kate Elegushi, that was also thrown into the sea. Now, we felt that we need to provide a political voice for all these layers of people, and that it also be a combined practice of also putting to test our challenge of the Labour Party bureaucracy. So that's why we decided to join the Labour Party. Of course, we could have said we'll join the AAC. The AAC is already radicalized party. But we felt that the working class, it was the working class that entered the arena of struggle on the 19th of October, when we successfully shut down Alausa Secretariat and Alausa Barricade. That was when we knew that, of course, elements like us who have read history very clearly, we knew that the class battle is now joined. When workers were the ones that mounted the barricades on the morning of the 19th of October, the ruling class knew, especially in Lagos, the ruling class in Lagos, that have now emerged as the candidate of the APC. They knew that the game is up. The game is up. The workers bypass their bureaucracy, and an unofficial general strike commenced on the 19th of October. So we felt that the battle for the working class. So we joined. And now, in terms of the campaign and what we want to achieve, is that we intend to politicize the new layer of young people coming into struggle, meeting them with a message, passing. We are going to be a new generation of young people who are going to be meeting us for the first time, and who needs a valid and unrounded Marxist education in the coming period. But that question is not that how did we get here, so that we also don't subsume ourselves into opportunism. We did not bow to the bureaucracy in any way. Now, something happened just 2 days ago that is very, very important for us to note, and so attached to our campaign, is that presently now I'm the chairperson of the Labour Party in Atiosa. When we opened the WhatsApp group, in fact, most of the people that joined were Obi-ists. I call them Obi-ists, the Obi-ism party. Now, on June 10, 2022, the Nigerian Labour Congress itself issued a press release in which the democracy threw its weight behind Peter Obi. That is very, very, very instructive for us. But I won't go into that yet, but that's another issue. But for us,
and we can come back to that actually, because that will be of interest to us. But yeah, please continue.
We want to want to take forward the SR struggle, the struggle of different communities on the political plane.
Okay. Let me pose one more question before I hand over to OAG, actually, who I know has prepared a few questions as well. I mean, it's just a follow-up on that point you were making.
Okay.
So you're pointing out that a couple of days before this recording, on June 10th, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress came out and endorsed the Peter Obi candidacy. So what I'd like to find out now is, how does this affect your campaign in particular?
So much. Thank you so much. For us, as we are Marxists, it is always very important to have foresight above astonishment. Now, there's no way a Marxist like myself will endorse Peter Obi. He's an out and out ruling class element, and of course, the elements following him are having an illusion in him. There's always a cycle of illusions. There was Buhari at the time, Jonathan at the time, and now we're having Peter Obi. Now, the question is that, is there any further basis to continue to be in the Labour Party, to continue to have an entrism in the Labour Party at this point in time? For instance, if we call a meeting of Labour Party or our local government today, it will be flooded with Obi-ists. In fact, they are on the platform monthly, a lot of prayer for a meeting to be called. And we will, of course, be fighting a one-sided civil war with this Obi-ists if eventually we are engaged in the dialogue. But the window that is open for us is that our candidature itself is still temporary. As I speak to you, my party is with me. It's just a party form we are giving. Okay. The Electoral Act empowers the chairman, the national chairperson of the Labour Party, to submit the final list of candidates. So the question of, yes, that's the law, within 14 days. So running from 9th of October, of June. So between 9th and the next 2 weeks, is another thing whether I would really be on the ballot.
Right.
Because the fact is that the bureaucracy have taken notice of us. The state chairman has called many times that all those our releases, that the party chairman, they are seeing it and they are making. Of course, he has a lot of sympathy for us. Protest elements and all that. But that's not enough. The bureaucracy at a particular point in time, we have to choose between us and those who they favor. And don't forget that they are political traders. So in the final analysis, we will not be surprised if our names will not eventually appear on the ballot paper. But
even if you legitimately won your primaries.
The question is that, does that not mean that our struggle thus far, our entrism thus far in the Labour Party is an exercise in futility, like many tendencies within the left are trying to canvass today? I dare to say no. We have taken up a battle with the bureaucracy, and the Labour Party bureaucracy now, the Labour bureaucracy in the Labour centers, and the left bureaucracy, they are all now weighed behind Peter Obi. The struggle have to be taken ultimately from the political plane to the industrial plane, back to the trade unions, to reclaim the trade unions from the bureaucracy, to build rank and file workers' vanguard, and ultimately displace this. And in fact, that is going to be a music for the future. But of course, this is just perspective. We are waiting events to confirm us correct in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Interesting. OAG, over to you.
Thank you, Comrade Ayo, for giving us the insight of the workings of the Labour Party at the moment and where it stands, and even how it functions at the moment. But as Marxists, we try to look at things from two sides so that we'll have a proper analysis of things. So what would be the challenges or even opportunities of the emergence of Peter Obi as a Labour Party presidential candidate? That's for the left-wing activists attempting to enter the Labour Party. And you also mentioned, taking the struggle to the industrial trade unions and all that. So it would be nice for you to expand on that.
Thank you so much. The opportunity is that, of course, as Marxists, we are not fetishists. We don't fetishize the Labour Party. The Labour Party itself is a social democratic party, and the history of most social democratic parties is that they swing from left to right. You recollect that even the Labour Party of UK, which have a long history of workers in it, went to the right under Tony Blair, and then ultimately by law of unintended consequences, it went again to the left under Jeremy Corbyn. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
back to the right under Stemmer. But does that now mean that there are no left forces in the Labour Party at all in the UK? The answer is no. As we speak, there are more than 30 MPs, left-wing MPs in the Labour Party in the Parliament. Now the question is that in Nigeria's case, it's entirely different. The Labour Party is so riddled with crisis, but at the same time, for the first time in 20 years since the party was created, the Labour movement is identifying boldly with Labour Party. That is not a child's play at all. Because for many years, Labour brokers have always turned their back on this party. So for the first time, they identify with the party. That is a positive thing in its own right. But their philosophy, the philosophy of the Labour brokers, which they have already expatiated in their workers' charter of demands, if you recall it, the NSC political conference, was that they want to assess any candidates based on those demands. So that means that they will sit like all kind of bourgeois elements are welcome. But as long as they just endorse the workers' charter of demands, then they can be accepted. So the question is that as Peter Obi endorsed the NSC workers' charter of demands,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the Labour brokers are concerned, the answer is yes. Because if you look at his victory speech at the Paris, he was just speaking left. But Peter Obi can speak left today. But we all knew he is of the right. His claim is in the Pandora Papers. And history will not be kind to us if we do not undertake that bitter struggle against this Obi-ism in the Labour Party. Now, the challenge it has posed to us as left-wing activists trying to do entries in the Labour Party that we are now overshadowed by that figure of Peter Obi. For instance, a person like me now, if I go out campaigning, the Labour Party now echoes Peter Obi, whether you want to accept it or not. That's just the truth. So we have a lot of uphill task of trying to explain away Peter Obi, who already is a. So the question is that at what time can our entrism end? When you say entrism, why would you say entrism? We have already accepted that the Labour Party is not a final revolutionary vehicle. We are just trying to say that workers can fall into it. But the question is now that are rank and file workers now be mobilized in the Labour Party? The answer is yes. But for instance, in Lagos, they held for the first time a Labour Party meeting of trade unions in Labour House. I attended the meeting. Yes, workers are in the Labour Party in their own rights under the mobilization of Labour bureaucracy, but they are now mobilized behind the bourgeois machinery of Peter Obi. That is the dilemma. But this has already been conceived by people like us. We knew that there's never a time the Labour bureaucracy will allow rank and file workers to have. They can allow them to be those party members, floor members, to become candidates, to become leaders of that party. Because that's a death knell. Once workers, rank and file workers are politically empowered, the Labour bureaucracy is already dead and buried. So the question is that how long can our entrism now last within the Labour Party? Is our days are quite numbered. If we are not expelled, ultimately, if we are not expelled for anti-party activities, if we raise our voices as we raise about the fact that Peter Obi can never take workers to the promised land, the party bureaucracy may expel us, or if we ultimately deny us party tickets in the final analysis. So, but does that mean that that's the end of the road for our struggle? The answer is no. We have to take that struggle forward by opening a fresh struggle against the Labour bureaucracy within the industrial plane, and that's the point I was trying to make before. In the next few weeks, we'll be launching a new left organization entirely in Nigeria, which we call the Socialist Equality Movement, and it's to begin the process of ultimately even a new socialist equality party, because the Socialist Party of Nigeria has become inactive. In fact, it has become totally inactive. Elements like us have been expelled from that party undemocratically because of our stance on the Labour Party. So it's a marathon of struggle. We must engage all bureaucracies both within the left and the Labour movement.
In fact, I agree totally with that. And one can't just leave the terrain of the struggle for the right-wing elements in the Labour Party to take full control of. So, and you've made, rightly so, a clear distinction between the Labour bureaucracy, the Labour Party itself, and even the left-wing elements that are in the party. So what does the Labour Party, what does the Labour Party hope to gain from adopting Peter Obi, as their candidates at this very moment? What do they stand to gain?
Thank you so much for that question. These elements, the bureaucrats in labor movement, they can sell their soul for the devil. According to figures I got, of course, the Peter Obi came in with a lot of huge financial stress, and he's smart enough. He knew that Labour Party is labor movement, so he consulted the bureaucracy, he accepted their endorsement, accepted everything. A lot of money have exchanged hands and all that. It's to continue to lead the working class to a blind alley, and to continue to build an empire for themselves and all that. But that exactly happened exactly 30 years ago also within the same Labour Party in 1993. If you recollect, there was a Labour Party in 1993 too that was subsumed under the SDP, and they queued behind MKO Abiola. That happened like that. In fact, Pastor Bafia was meant to be the vice president candidate of Abiola, but he was edged out by internal party politics, and that is why he didn't play an active role in the June 12th protest that followed.
I should just also note a fun fact is that Atiku ran against Abiola in the SDP primaries.
Yes.
This same bourgeois element 30 years ago are still on the other side of the barricades, and we are still going to meet them barricade to barricade in the coming period. And the clear lesson from that is that, especially at a time like this, when there is that unknowing or holy alliance within the Labour Party bureaucracy, the left bureaucracy, and the Labour Party bureaucracy, and the so-called social democratic wing of the bourgeoisie, it's always a period where on the eve of another mighty mass movement. So it's not for us to lament or to laugh at their derision. It's to root ourselves properly within the rank and file, whatever. Let me give you an example. We're going to be taking up a struggle of rank and file bus drivers. I don't know whether you are aware of this ongoing struggle between the bureaucrats in the MC Oluomo and the other.
So the APC aligned bureaucrats the APC aligned people versus.
Thank you so much.
APC Street Alliance.
The rank and file bus drivers themselves, who are the one paying that 254 billion, which the ICRR says they make a lot of money from, which Tinubu, of course, out of that sweat is what Tinubu handed out $25,000, because where is that money coming from? 254 billion naira coming out of rank and file bus drivers in Lagos. They are now with us, and never for once are we going to lead those kind of workers into the blind alley of Peter Obi. So we may have to quit the Labour Party. That is what the major point of the something. Now the question may be asked to us, we have been given candidation, but I've explained to you how the legal technicalities work. We are not under illusion of the party bureaucracy. They already know us. They know who we are. They know where we are coming from. And in the final analysis, they will not submit our names to INEC. And we are not going to cry over spit milk. We are not careerists. We are not opportunists. We have engaged them to a point. Is for us to take it further. Because if we step out of the Labour Party today, we will have to open an outright struggle against Obi-ism itself. It's an illusion. No matter the crowd behind it today, we must open that struggle. It's important. Against Obi-ism in the Labour Party, against all forms of illusions, against all forms of right-wing illusions that are circulating today, because we are on the eve of a major revolutionary struggle.
Thank you, Comrade Ayo. It is important to note that there's an affinity of the Labour movement or the Labour Party with right-wing elements, and with some problematic candidates, over the history of the country. And with this emergence or the advent of Obi-ism, what will we say is the ideology of the Labour Party at the moment, so we get a full clarity of what's really going on in there?
Well, thank you for that question. Naturally, they identify with social democracy, but that social democracy itself In fact, in the ID form, this is not even social democracy because social democrats are the earliest, the second international Marxists, the likes of Lenin and Co, Rosa Luxemburg and Co and Co. Now, after the First World War, the social democracy went right wing. As you know, the German Social Democratic Party fully supported the war, just like you're having what's happening today, also in the Ukraine-Russian war. They supported the war. So most of the second social democratic parties in the world today are right wing, are bourgeoisified. Most of the Labour parties are like the Labour Party in the UK is more or less a bourgeois workers' party. In fact, until Jeremy Corbyn came in and the Momentum movement, it was an out and out neoliberal party. Of course, there's an influx of workers in it. But in Nigeria, what you have in Nigeria is a crude form of that version of social democracy in every respect and all that. So it is important that we maintain the fact that the labor movement in Nigeria today is a neoliberal, is a labor bureaucracy and the Labour Party bureaucracy. They don't have their own ideology, is a neoliberal adherence to neoliberal ideology. In fact, if you look at the program of the party, on paper, they will talk about social democratic issues and all that. But in reality, what exactly does the Labour Party implement? If you look at the person like who was there at that time, he implemented the same privatization, all those things and all those things. Most of the elements that have been elected on the platform of the party and out neoliberal politicians. And that is the aftermath of the collapse of Stalinism of the Soviet Union and the retreat of many SY Marxist elements, forces into opportunism and all that. So the challenge today is to build a revolutionary organization that is properly rooted in genuine Marxism. And that's the way to rebuild the labor movement in the final.
So it sounds to me, or it sounded in your previous response, that the recent endorsement of Peter Obi by the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress is a sort of red line for you and for other members of this left entryist initiative into the Labour Party. Why is that? I mean, what about this seems to be a particular kind of obstacle to the agenda that you're trying to push within the Labour Party, and what are you going to do about it?
What you have is that there's a mobilization of workers for Obi. That is just a decision 2 days ago. Even though we all knew about it, that there was a underground, but an official release. That's not an ordinary event. So that's not an ordinary event in any situation. That means you are battling with an alliance of a tripartite alliance of the Labour Party bureaucracy, the Labour bureaucracy of both the NS and the TUC, and the Peter Obi bourgeois machinery. So now, if you go anywhere now and say, you are a Labour Party candidate, a proposed candidate of Labour Party, people will think you are a Peter Obi man. Where you are just,
okay.
You can't explain away that would be a mighty order to.
So it now seems like there's no differentiation between Labour aligned forces and Obi aligned forces after the endorsement. Okay.
Don't forget that the bureaucracy will not take us kindly for all our critique of what's happening in the party. So you can't just say because of, if people ask us, why are you leaving the Labour Party today? We must be able to explain that beyond Peter Obi, that let events confirm that. I'm just explaining in perspective. Events have to confirm that whether we are going to be on the ballot or not. So if we're not on the ballot, it's not a surprise for us. Of course, we are already winding up our entryism within the party. But what's the exercise? The answer is yes. Unlike the other left tendencies who are outside, who are afraid of entry to the battle arena, we have engaged the bureaucracy to a level, and it's important to go and reopen that struggle outside of the Labour Party.
This honestly is an airful. Truth is, I have a set of questions that are already prepared. Now I'm wondering whether to go ahead with them or just simply play it by the ear. But quickly, Comrade Ayo, I think it's important to clarify this because it would seem as though you are inferring that Peter Obi, who undeniably is a representative of the bourgeois class, came into the Labour Party and bought over the Labour movement bureaucracy with his money. Of course, by the Labour bureaucracy, I'm here referring to the NLC and the TUC. The reason I say this needs clarification is simple. If there's any meat to the allegation, then it would suggest that Peter Obi himself is a hypocrite because, of course, we all know his stated reasons for leaving the PDP was his claim that, or as a result of his claim that, delegates were being bought by other aspirants. Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you factual something for that. Now, on the day of the convention, of the Labour Party convention, in which Peter Obi emerged, 5 candidates have already bought the form. That's 30 million. That's 30 times 5, 450 million. Now, in Nigerian bourgeois politics, nobody steps down without not being resolved. I want to say, and I make both to say, and I can be challenged, that there are authoritative sources that say up to 200 million naira was spent on the day of that primaries, in which elements that were told to step down were settled. You can't step down just like that now after paying 30 million naira to go and tell your family what. You understand that kind of thing. So all the nice about didn't spend money in PDP, they are not paying shishi as he's trying to sell is just a fluke. A lot of money exchange. And as for the Labour blue cards, apart from being financially rewarded, they are already ideologically, subsumed into a likely Obi-ism, because by virtue of their worker charter in February, March, they were already saying that they welcome anybody who can stand for, as long as they have any form of identification with their workers' charter. So what does that mean? So if an article also comes to the Labour Party today, as long as it just swear by the worker charter of demands, even for just temporarily, welcome to the Labour Party. Yes. So and then Peter Obi, of course, is enjoying a level of illusion that he's picking flowery things and all that. So the illusion just consummated together. So I put down the allegations in material terms that pockets were settled. But beyond that, we are not just we are looking at the political implications. Is that their political ideology are lying in the recess of it. You understand? Apart from their political ideology are lying.
I listened to you carefully, maybe because of course, I disagree with you on strategy as the methods of entryism. So listening to you talk, bits and pieces of the history of the left, basically came back to me. Especially that bit, about the 1979 election, when of course the left was split. When of course there was a split within the left, on around issues surrounding the formation of a socialist party. So here we're talking about people like SG Koku, the Olaonis, the Fatoguns, and Wahab Goodluck. And as I'm sure there were about 3 splinter groups in the left during that period, and each had its own different position. To the extent that today it seems correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the kind of conversation the left is having within its rank. The one person who I'm guessing argues a bit differently from you would be Comrade Femi Falana. And I don't know if you've heard or sorry, if you've had the opportunity to read one of his most recent write-ups titled, the Labour Party and the Left, where you would agree with me if you have read it, that he argues a bit, somewhat differently from, the argument that you are pushing now. So yeah, if it's possible, I'd like to pose my question, and the way I'd like to approach it would be to ask, off the back of the background, of that I've just given, what, the renewal vanguard, what do you hope to achieve, and is your vanguard affiliated with Femi Falana's TPAP-M? However loosely. Yeah, which and which from all the indication is looking to work with. It would seem is looking to work with the Labour Party. I'd love you to respond to this question, given the historical context of the period. That by that I mean 1979. Which I'm sure you'll converse with.
In
Thanks.
fact, a very historically brilliant question. The 1979 left coalition you are referring to is what is called the Movement for People's Democracy, MPD.
MPD.
Yes. The MPD now split into three factions as you are elected and all that. Some of them were ready to play entryism in the UPN at a level, and some of them were like, oh, we need a clear Socialist Workers and People's Party, Socialist Working People's Party, Socialist Workers and Farmers Party of Holland. They're portable, good luck and all that. But 1979 and 2022 are different in every sense, because something happened in 1989. In terms of the collapse of the Soviet Union, and many Marxist Leninists in Nigeria, as they call themselves, were they have full faith in the Stalinist movement of socialism, which was happening at that time in the Soviet Union. So between 1989 and now, there have been an ideological setback within the Nigerian left, in the sense that many of those ex-Stalinists, as we call them, became human rights agitators, as they came to know, and the question of combating capitalism took a secondary affair. In the year 2020, there was a convergence of the official left under the name and banner of the People's Alternative Political Movement. With respect, and I'm on record, I want to say that the key figure in that movement, which is Femi Falana, does not represent an all-rounded revolutionary element in Nigeria today. And I say that with all the two sides, all the fullness of confidence of the fathers. The role they played in class struggle today is to mount radical slogans in the open, but to be in bed with the ruling class at all times. For instance, in the land use charge struggle, they were on the other side of the barricades. The answer was see them making a lot of something, but we were the ones who practically were in the trenches, in the legal level, at that level. And we know the role they played. They're also constituting, in influencing. They are close to the Lagos state government. They are close to we all know the role he played as counsel to Tinubu. I mean, far back as 1999, and all that. Now, coming back to reality is that they represent a pseudo-left tendency. And that was why exactly in 2021, those of us of the younger generation who knew that this official left movement is not going to confront the bodily bureaucracy in any way. We knew that if we don't put up a rank and file convergence, we are in deep shit. So after the SR report was able to nail the mass murderers in Alausa, we were able to come up with what we call COPA. And we didn't mince words. We said we are going to build a rank and file convergence in opposition, in clear opposition to the pseudo-left movement around Falana and the rest of them. We didn't see that behind the pillow. We were stating it clearly. And it is because we know that there are genuine elements trapped within TPAM itself. And we felt that these elements can be liberated in our critique of the something. We didn't declare ourselves as the people's political alternative movement. We said we are a convergence working for working people's alternative. And at that level, we knew that trying to put together all the left parties in Nigeria, Socialist Party of Nigeria, AAC, MOP, PRP, is a battle, is an exercise in futility. Because in every way, they are head by bureaucracies. So we decided to go below them and decide to mobilize the rank and file. We had within us at the inaugural symposium in 2021, the AAC forces in Lagos. Then, of course, the AAC forces identified with us naturally. Then the MOP, Shehu Kuti, which is still unregistered, identified with us. Then the Labour Party Lagos State also identified with us. We had different representatives for Youth Party, which their leader died. In fact, the person that came to represent them died. NYPP, Young People's Party, members, not leaders of these parties. And we came to a resolution that we need to give the ENSAR struggle a political conclusion. Now, coming to the issue of Labour Party, between now and that time, it was clear to us that despite the radicalization of AAC, most of our forces were AAC elements, that it was important to the working class political agenda in the Labour Party. So we walked to the Labour Party Lagos State. And fortunately enough, there were the elements that saw reason with us and said, well, they will reject the humongous nomination fees at the level of the national and gave nomination fees forms for free, because who are on the left. Now, the TPAC, they were like, oh, good have come out of Nazareth of Labour Party. In fact, they felt that they would register their own party called TPAC. For 2 years, they never registered that party. It was just there. So when we entered the Labour Party on April, they were seeing their numerous communiques. They were critiquing the party. That party can never be of any use and all that. Ultimately, on May Day, they were forced to side with it, because of course you can't be talking about the working people's alternative. You're not working with the NSA and TUC. So the NSA and TUC brought all their weight down and said they are entering their Labour Party. So they were forced to enter the Labour Party with the NSC and TUC and with the NCF, National Consultative Front, which is a liberal bureaucrat coalition, not led by Peter Obi. Long and short was that ultimately between May 1st and May 21, they spent 21 days only within the party. Naturally, we canvassed at that time that the Labour Party should be run like a federation. That is, it should have a federation, we should have a federal alliance within the Labour Party in which TPAM, MOP, SPN, PRP, all kinds of, even AAC, which at that time didn't have a legal validity, they should all work within the Labour Party and see how we can have an all-inclusive convention in which everybody will maintain their independent organizational rights. But all those were cast aside. Then on the 21st of May, they had a Lagos summit after the Abuja summit of 2020, and in which they now went to town and said they are never part of Labour Party again. Why? What happened was that they went between May 1st and May 21. They went to Labour Party and demanded for decline, which is the presidential ticket, in a place where the reactionary forces are in dominance. Those ones just said the presidential ticket is nomination form is 30 million. They said they won't pay 30 million, they won't even pay 1 million. Of course, that is principled. But the question is that why don't you work from below? Why don't you even go and fill in the state branches so that by when the convention is convened, you are the forces on ground? So after they were denied that ticket, Falana himself was encouraged to run. He didn't run. He didn't even join the party to today. In Lagos State, we said he should come and join the Labour Party in Lagos State. He did not. Eventually, of course, because of their affiliations to other bourgeois parties, eventually on the 21st of May, they were able to now withdraw totally in an ultra-leftist fashion that, the Labour Party is going to be, since it's the Labour part of the party and all that. On the 30th of May, 9 days after, the NCF Fatutomi and their third first candidate, quote unquote, Peter Obi, gained dominance in the party because the official left the party too early and too hastily enough. Now, Falana, as an individual, is now canvassing by June 5 that all the left parties should work together. That is more or less singing a funeral song in the name ceremony. Because if he had canvassed that, let's say 3 months ago, it would have made a hypothetical sense. But now, Peter Obi has emerged as candidate of Labour Party. Showore as candidate of wishing Showore to work with Peter Obi. That cannot be a principled alliance in any way. So, but those of us in COPA, we continue to work from below. And that's why we're able to get tickets at Lagos State Labour Party level. At the local level, we didn't say we wanted to go and clinch the crown. We felt that we should work from below. And that is our bottom-up approach, of the top-down approach of COPA. So today now, we have TPAM officially out of Labour Party, officially now saying that biting their fingers. Now, the thing is that you now have the same Falana who was saying his message on June 5 now became clearer on June 10 when the Labour NLC issued a statement. And in that statement, they said Peter Obi is the official candidate of Labour Party, and they are all behind the Labour Party and Peter Obi. Falana's law firm issued a statement also validating the candidacy of Peter Obi. So, without missing words, Falana is an individual in TPAM, but it's an everywhere you where exactly the official left is also going to keep behind a bourgeois element of Peter Obi. Now, TPAM is now divided into different setup. There are sections of the left within that TPAM that felt that they should go and work even right inside Peter Obi movement. There are sections of the left that felt that they should have a left opposition, just like we are having now today, within the Labour Party as Renewal Vanguard. So going forward, Renewal Vanguard, the Labour Party, is an extension of COPA, and there is no need to go and form an alliance with the Falana TV to which way to go. Now, eventually, the question that now boils to mind today is June 12. After June 10, when that bureaucracy unveiled its agenda and all that, what should be our disposition to Obi-ism? I've highlighted that before, but I think maybe further questions can be asked. So that's the state we are. We will maintain our independence. We will maintain our own independent agitation. We have an independent approach to the Labour Party. They never pick up membership from. We are in the party. They are never in the party. If they want to come and be in the party, it's becoming belated. That's just what I will say for now.
Yeah, this is brilliant. I mean, this clarifies a lot of what we're trying to seek clarity for. I mean, initially I was going to ask, or rather, my fear was, that I heard you say that your own entryism into the Labour Party had reached its head, and that COPA, your own faction, that is, was looking to withdraw from the party itself, which is why I suggested that, my own two kobo would have been to say that, strategically, I disagree with that. Of course, the dominant ideology that Peter Obi himself professes is that of the neoliberal. It's actually a neoliberal one, but I also think that it's been the bane, of the Nigerian left for many years now, to hold this puritanical view of, how political parties should be, or, it should be formed, largely. And that's why I was quite happy, when you mentioned, the British example, citing, of course, Tony Blair, Jeremy Corbyn after him, and today Starmer. So I think that, ideologically, within political parties, what the norm is that it's a struggle, and that the folks, with opposing ideologies within parties should slug it out, should fight, be able to to fight, and as such. So so off the back of, of that, I don't think I should ask you if the Labour Party, as it currently exists, is working with other groups, or movements within the left, because it seems to me that, even within the left, given all that you said thus far, that everyone is holding on to their own perch, and that there's no collaboration of any sort going on, among different factions. I don't know if that's a wrong, false assumption, but that's the way that I see it. That's the way I feel, because that would ultimately have been my next question. Yeah,
Okay, let
thanks.
me respond to that. Let me buttress your point. The official left is just being hypocritical in the sense that, as you have said, they want to behave puritanical and their hands are not clean. The left in Nigeria has suffered a whole lot of trajectory. So why don't you even build from somewhere? Now, as far as we are concerned, we cannot be left that isolated itself from the processes. We are inside the party. When we are saying that, okay, we are going to the new socialist party, that is a long-term perspective. We are still in the party. We are not going to leave the party just like that. It's a battle unless and until we push down. It's a process. For instance, now, I was telling you my own personal experience. The submission of nomination forms has now started between June 10 and June 17. That's what I've been running up and down this money to make. There's the perspective of advancing the money that, yes, that's a long-term perspective. But we are going to build to that level. We are going to work it out. It's not something that you just sit down it's not a masturbatory affair. We are going to engage this bureaucracy in a life and death struggle until we are now okay. We cannot overcome it. But as long as we have oxygen in our bones, as long as we can respirate within the party, we have not been pushed out, we have not been buried. We are going to continue to respirate within that party. Now, many Obi-ists are in the party. We are going to engage them in dialogue. What we call dialogue with the masses. Many people who are attracted to Obi today are not attracted because of Labour Party. They are attracted because they are just normal Nigerians tired of the two wings of the bourgeoisie, the two parties, PDP and APC. Those elements are likely recruits. Those are elements we can recruit into our own socialist organization. Over and beyond the rituals of the official left. Until we are now able to we are snubbed out of the party. Of course, we will fall back to our traditional perspective of building a new socialist equality party, which is our eventual goal. And that is what is called entrism. Entrism is just like somebody that is trying to cross a bridge to the other side. Of course, you can't live on the bridge. The day you start living on the bridge, that's when you become an homeless person.
Splendid. This gladdens my heart, and then it gives me grounds for my final questions, Comrade Ayo. Now I think that you and I are on the same page, even if we've taken different routes to get there. So yeah, for me, from this end, my final question will then, before I throw it back, to Said and OAG, will then be this. For people like me and others who haven't listened to you, to all that you said, so far, are inspired, largely by the work that, Copa has done within the Labour Party, from between, say March, April, up till date. I mean, if we're looking to chip, to join the Labour Party, what would be the process, or what would be what would the procedure be like in terms of membership, membership forms, and how do we access the manifesto, so that that we can throw in our own little bit, and join hands, of course, with like minds to begin to find ways to hold the feet of the bourgeois faction, within labor to hold that their feet to fire.
If you are in Lagos, Lagos is arguably our major point of concentration, because Lagos Labour Party is arguably under if you ask me, a semi-progressive influence. Given the many factors, including our own influence within that apparatus. Now, in Lagos, we will soon start the mass membership drive, and membership funds will be held and all that for pickup and all that. But on the national plane, is it not possible for us to equally have a national platform in which we will continue to, even in different states, because we can't just be in Lagos alone, people can also pick up membership form, we can link up and continue to have this kind of discussions, you understand, within the renewal vanguard, or even in a broader entryists platform within the Labour Party, under whatever name. We intend to discuss with the Lagos State leadership, to also discuss with the NEC of the party, if they can roll out the names of all the chairmen and secretaries of and their phone numbers. So people are calling me from Kwara State, from Ogun State, in fact, every day I'm bombarded, how do I join the Labour Party, and all that. But at our own advanced layer level of this kind of discussion, I think it will be important at a particular point in time to convey a meeting of left groups and individuals who are interested in working within the Labour Party for now. There are, within the official left, there are about 2 or 3 groups that have already spoken that they want to work. There is the apart from us, there is the Campaign for Workers' Alternative, which is arguably a party, a organization that talks about Labour Party like an almighty formula. We have always disagreed with them that, of course, there's a limit to intrinsic. Then you have the socialist labor movement. Then you have the Socialist Workers League too. Those are groups, small left groups that I know of, that are already speaking that they want to do some form of entrism. We don't want to happen in the Labour Party now. Those are groups we can possibly in the next 2, 3, 4 days convey a meeting to say, okay, we have started something, but we can change the name. What is in the name? Like Shakespeare said, we can adapt ourselves and have a formidable plan. So we all speak with one voice. If you are in Ilorin, if you are in Kaba, if you are in Kaduna, we are speaking with one voice, one position in all the floor meetings, party meetings of the Labour Party. But if we are now eventually snubbed out, we should be bold enough to take our banner forward and go forward to build a viral socialist equality party, or whatever name that kind of socialist party will bear in the coming period.
Maybe I'll pose one final question on my end. I know. So now the Labour Party has elected its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, right? And as you kind of alluded to earlier in the morning, it's likely that as that structure consolidates, they will want to also take some control over the lower ranks of the party as well, over the lower tickets on the ballot, right? The governorships, the House of Reps, etc., as you rightly alluded to. So within that context, and given the kind of resources they possess, and given their control of the bureaucratic structure, what is a reasonable best case scenario for us? I mean, because it's one thing to commit ourselves to use Emeka's terms, holding their feet to the fire, but what ultimately do we imagine that we can accomplish by doing that?
Thank you so much for that question. I was just coming back from another meeting where we had another brainstorming session on this Obi-ism, the Labour Party, and the future of the Nigerian working class. It has been a season of discussion. It's a live issue. So now, one major thing that we need to be clear about this ascendancy of Obi-ism is that it is also tied to the national question crisis in Nigeria. If you look at the Buhari phenomenon, it was tied to the question of corruption, somatic corruption, and other things. Then, eventually, the Buhari phenomenon has now established the fact that corruption cannot be wished away by individual efforts. Now, the question that is definitely the Nigerian polity right now is the question of dismemberment of that federation. Of course, by the usurpation of the Fulani hegemony within that ruling class. Now, be that it may, what is driving, one of the major factors driving the Peter Obi factor is the national question issue, as I've said. So you find that many of the people that are Obi-ists are Igbo nationalist elements and all that. You also find elements who think that, okay, it's time to vote out with the APC and PDP, and Labour seems to be a much more veritable platform, with the name, with the network and all that. So how do we, in this context now, how do we maneuver? Especially when we know that both the bureaucracy and the bourgeois machinery of Peter Obi will now go beyond the presidency, because they know that overwhelmingly they need to also have some structures at National Assembly level, at State House Assembly level, and all that. Is that would of course not put a rope on our neck because of someone's funeral. You hope comrades understand me.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
If there is a funeral of an individual, if someone is organizing his own funeral, it is not our business to also commit suicide. We will be patient on the basis of parallelogram of forces. They can overwhelm us, but it's not maybe we are suffered the defeat. It's something we have anticipated. It's predictable. It's anticipated. Like now, between now and 17th of June, when the submission of candidates for National Assembly is on, I am on the neck of my party chairman. I'm on the neck of my party secretary. I'm filling my forms. I'm not just sitting down and saying and writing on social media that, oh, Labour Party is dead and nothing that can be done about it. I'm filling my forms. I'm getting my guarantors to sign my own nomination forms. I'm making sure I'm crossing my T's, I'm dotting my I's. It's different for somebody just sitting in his bedroom and saying all the bourgeois parties have taken over everywhere. The left is not on earth, it's not in heaven. We need to be somewhere, rooted somewhere. If by 17th of June, we cannot my name or any other left element from my organization who have entered the Labour Party or the renewal vanguard all over the country, their names are not submitted with INEC, then we cannot come back at home and say, okay, we've made a very grand attempt. In fact, this discussion itself, this conference we are having, is a result of that positive entries. If we didn't even go into the party at all, we won't be having this discussion, we won't be meeting these brilliant left minds in this conversation. So ultimately, we'll be able to rally ourselves that again. So, okay, in Ebonyi, we have a comrade so and so. In Kaduna, we have comrade so and so. Can we have another conference to discover what we've done next? Oh, we are moving on to do A, B, C, and D. So that's the thing.
But just to chip in, I also think that another very salient point that kind of juts out from under the hood of your session is that there's a way, because of the scale of what needs to be done, in terms of the Labour Party gaining a foothold on the ongoing political conversation in this country. That there is a way in which in which to weaponize, the left's forces who've entered, the Labour Party. I mean, your own self, using your own self as an example. That is, folks vying for offices other than that of the presidency. Is that something you're insinuating in that statement as well?
That what I've said is a dialectical situation. It's a case
Yes.
of it's both positive and negative at the same time. It's a completely dialectical situation. We must not be blind to the positive developments, and we must not be too
Carried
overwhelmed.
away.
We must not be carried away by the negative developments. So the thing is to live each day as it comes, but with a very clear long-term perspective to say, we, as you have said, we are going to exhaust all means. Now, but one of the things is this, getting on the ballot is a different ballgame. Now, if you are on the ballot, we should also anticipate that if we go into the electioneering feed, we are going to be confronted as left elements with a whole lot of questions about Peter Obi, who represents. We need to painfully and carefully explain who he is, who we are. Yes, he's a fantastic fellow, he's speaking fine, but who we are with the real sense, is so that in the situation where we don't develop into what happened to the sons of Sceva, Paul we know, Jesus we know, who are thou, and all those kind of things. So, but I think it's better to be gradual, gradual in everything, because it's not response, the dialectical response that we need at this stage.
So comrade, I mean, the picture I'm getting then is that you, as a down ballot candidate running for a House seat under the Labour Party, when you're out campaigning, you will have to both claim the Labour Party and oppose its presidential candidate at the same time.
No, not to say that to hell with Peter Obi. That's not the language to use, because a lot of people will be attracted to use it because of Peter Obi. You understand that kind of thing. It's a very complex, very, very complex situation. Now, but it's to carefully explain to people that yes, Peter Obi is the presidential candidate of Labour Party. But this is who we are. We are socialists, we are this and that. We think the party should be run by ordinary workers. We are even fighting for workers and poor people's government, which we know Peter Obi may not deliver. It's going to be a very difficult task.
This is how I see it. I mean, this is how I'd look at it. When and if the situation finally arises, I think that when push finally comes to shove, your own campaign, staying true to of course your Marxist principles, you anticipate that your campaign would be radically different from Obi's one. Yeah, but I also think that that is exactly the moment where we might be able to force him to make some more concessions, because it then becomes, of course, a question of which of the policies the people would buy into. Of course, the people will buy into more. I say this because I personally, because personally, I think that Obi himself is long on rhetorics and short on the how. By this, I mean how he intends to achieve most of what he's promising, what his campaign promises. I'll give you just one example. He says, for instance, that he'd want to move Nigeria from sharing, to production. But I don't see that he's told us how, at least not in any real detail. I mean, how he intends to do that. You understand? So I think that if we get to that juncture, we would have to come to the point where a divergence in approach will either force him, to sell himself out as the neoliberal that he is, or force him, to make, concessions that are more people, worker oriented, in and concessions that, of course, are in line with, what socialists and Marxists would ultimately expect from a Labour Party. I don't know, but that's how I feel.
You have made it. For instance, he's going to be doing town hall meetings. We will storm those town hall meetings to take him up. And of course, we are already party members and candidates ourselves. So we'll be having the floor. We will not just be outsiders. We will to say, Mr. Man, this is the program of the party. You came to the party less than 1 day or 2 days to the convention. But it's important that, do you now subscribe to this? If you subscribe to this, how do you want to work it out? So if the audience is able to judge that this person is just speaking left and all that. Now, one other scenario we have not anticipated, because we are in the laboratory now. We are political, revolutionary scientists. Analyzing what's going to happen. Is the post-election scenario, wherein don't forget that Obi himself is already in alliance talks with Kwakwanso and Atiku. It's not ruled out that he will step down for Atiku. But of course, a form of electoral convergence or alliance will be formed to possibly assist Atiku in getting there. That's one thing we should not also rule out, with the aim of possibly getting a seat in Atiku's government if that works out. Now, in a situation where Tinubu captures power, do you think in a post-election scenario there won't be post-election uprising on the back of Obi? Because Obi won't want to play the cowboy. He won't lead a protest against Tinubu. That can't happen. They always, as a class, as a ruling class, they are all winners. But for our own people, which is our concern, a lot of elements who are following Obi now will be frustrated that they couldn't get their man in and all that. There will be possible post-election protests in southeast part of Nigeria. And that will even fuel more Biafran nationalism and even self-determination, armed struggle and all that. So our response to that kind of scenario is to say, we forewarned you. This person was like this, was like that. We forewarned you. But ultimately, you can only rest your hopes in solving the national question in a pan-Nigerian working class political movement, which will even take the form of, at a minimal level, a socialist political force, building up to a bigger and wider working class independent political force. One of the major other last thing is that the Labour bureaucracy has shown that they don't want to play independent class politics at all. They want to whine with the rich, with the elites, with the bourgeoisie. They don't believe that Rakafa workers on their own can capture power, as we socialists are envision. So, but it's our role to still continue to push that vision among the rank and file of the working class. It's a tedious task, but ultimately this Peter Obi phenomenon will come and go with the Labour Party. If he loses the 2023 general elections, I don't think he will remain in the party. The question will now be, what becomes of the Labour Party after Peter Obi. But I can assure you, comrades, that Labour Party won't be the same again.
Of course. No doubt. That's a real possibility. But who knows? The flip side to that is, he who says that his bromance with the Labour Party, as is currently structured, may not ultimately lead him to encounter his own quote and unquote Damascus moment.
LOL.
Well, in a way, that was a prognosis that was posed during the June 12 struggle. That if possibly the MK Abiola, who is an out-and-out imperialist agent, come to power after that kind of titanic struggle on the streets, he will be forced to the left and all that. Well, what we have seen because all experiences of class struggle is also tied to the international experience of the working class. There was a case of we have seen recent cases, even as far early as the one happened in Chile, the student leader that was brought into power on the back of a movement, and that was even left. If you ask me, someone on the fringe of the left who came to power and all that. But ultimately, if you yes, that young guy. So you know that ultimately, if you don't have a complete break with capitalism, you will still be forced to the right. Of course, I agree with you that if a Peter Obi comes to power on the back of a gigantic mass movement and all that, he may be forced to do some biddings of the masses and all that. But ultimately, he will be forced to also do the biddings of the president. And a very quick example is Buhari himself. Buhari came to power on the back of enormous mass illusion, change and all that. He was speaking left. In fact, I can tell you that Buhari spoke more far left than even Obi is saying. Only that Buhari has become totally discredited. As early as 2019, Buhari was still a messianic phenomenon in every. If I will say Igbo of Buhari in some places, will be beaten now as early as 2019. But as of today, he has become so completely discredited because ultimately he was asked to bow to the diktats of IMF and World Bank. Capitalism has entered into its neoliberal era. There is no hiding place in any national enclave. It's an international onslaught of capital that we have entered into.
Well, I think we can probably end on that, I suppose, optimistic note, where we've even considered the possibility of a neoliberal billionaire having a Damascus moment after coming to power on the back of a historical mass movement. But look, thank you, Comrade Ayo, for setting aside the time to have this conversation. I think it was very enriching and even came up with very practical ideas about how to move forward. So we really appreciate that you set this time aside, and I suspect this will be the first of many conversations as the campaign season progresses and left politics evolves in various ways. So thanks once again for joining us, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Comrade. It was nice having you.
It's a player. I
on the phone.
Physically. Thank you so much. It's a great player.